Hello all, I am Indu Giver, Assistant Professor, Department of Civil Engineering and Rajagiri School of Engineering and Technology. This is the lecture 1 of Module 6 Pre-stressed Concrete of Design of Concrete Structures 2. Pre-stressing is the application of some initial load to the structure so that the structure can withstand the stresses arising due to the external loads. Concrete is very good in compression but weak in tension. So a compression is induced in concrete so that the concrete section does not crack and is not subject to any tension under the external loads. So throughout the service life of concrete, the concrete is kept in compression. Now this compression is introduced into concrete using high tensile steel. Now there are two methods of pre-stressing. One is pre-tensioning and the other is post-tensioning. In pre-tensioning, first the steel bar is tensioned using jacks. Then the casting of concrete is done. Then finally the bars are cut and slowly the pre-tension gets transferred to the concrete by pre-compression. So the concrete now becomes in compression because the steel, when it is cut, it tries to come back to the original position. So the steel in tension in steel will get transferred to the concrete as compression. So there will be axial forces in the member, and due to the axial forces, the concrete section will slightly get compressed. So these are some examples of pre-tensioning. Electric poles are usually subject to high bending moments due to the wind load, and to counteract the effect of the bending stresses, a pre-compression is applied to concrete so that it can counteract the effects of load due to the external wind load. And same thing applies to sleepers also. They are subject to high bending moments due to the load of the wheel. And this can be counteracted by the effect of pre-stress, and it is manufactured using pre-tensioning bench. This method of pre-stressing is post-tensioning. In this method, the concrete is first cast, leaving a duct for inserting the tendon. Now the tendon is inserted and the tension is applied in the tendons through jacks and anchorage devices. Then this tension gets transferred to the concrete and finally it is cut and locked. So this is a case with straight tendon. Now there can be also curved tendons. So this is an example of curved tendons. Usually we give parabolic tendons also. So in this case a cable is inserted, then similarly it is tensioned and the pre-tensioning is transferred to concrete. And now in this case, because of the curved profile of the cable, the beam hogs. So there will be some hogging moments induced in the member apart from a compression alone. So in this case, it can completely eliminate the bending stresses caused by the external loads, because in a simply supported beam, due to external loads, the moment is sagging, and in this case, if we give a parabolic table with eccentricity at the bottom, we get a hogging moment induced due to pre-stress, and due to this the hogging and sagging moment get cancelled each other, and finally you may achieve a zero bending moment condition throughout the length of the beam. So if you look at the ideal shape of the tendon, it is the shape of the bending moment diagram. So in case of simply supported beam with UDL, the shape of the bending moment diagram is parabolic. So if we give a parabolic cable, we can neutralize the bending stresses. And this parabolic cable can completely nullify the bending stresses in the beam. These are some examples of post-tensioning. So you can see in the first figure, the ducts are provided for inserting the cables, and first the concrete is casted and then the steel is inserted through these ducts and it is pre-tensioned, and slowly the compression will get transferred to the concrete. Now there are two types of pre-stressing: internal pre-stressing and external pre-stressing. In internal pre-stressing, the steel is provided within the concrete section, whereas in external pre-stressing, the steel is located outside the concrete section. So in this case, the first figure shows the ducts which is inside the concrete, and second figure, the cables are located outside the concrete section within the box. Now the materials we use for pre-stressed concrete is high strength steel and high strength concrete. The high strength steel means it has an yield stress of about 1800 MPa, which is much greater than Fe415 or Fe500 steel normally used for RC construction. And high strength concrete also need to be used, that is minimum grade of M30 for post tensioning and M40 for pre-tensioning as per the code IS 1343. Now why do we need high strength steel? The high strength steel is required to get sufficient pre-stress in concrete. If we use lower grades such as Fe415 or 500, then almost most of the pre-stress will be lost due to losses in pre-stress. Losses in pre-stress means some of the pre-tension will be reduced because of the losses effect, and the remaining pre-stress only will get transferred to the concrete. So if we use low strength steel, the losses itself will be significantly high and the net pre-stress available for concrete will be very less. So we need to use a high strength steel so that we can tension it to a larger strength, and then the pre-compression also will be transferred will be higher. Now why do we need to go for high strength concrete? Because we are using high strength steel, we need to apply large pre-compression forces. So the concrete should be able to withstand such high compressive force. So the higher grade should be used. Coming to the advantages and disadvantages, the main advantage of pre-stressed concrete is that it can be uncracked at service. We already saw in reinforced concrete that all beams we design as cracked sections, but here in pre-stressed concrete we can design the sections as purely uncracked because we keep the concrete fully in compression. So this can enhance durability because it can reduce the corrosion in steel. The next advantage is you can have a higher span for lesser depth. So for large spans, for suppose bridge girders of 30 meter, 40 meter span, it is more economical to go for a pre-stressed span, and it also results in a lesser depth. Then it is also suitable for precast construction. So if you see all the bridge construction nowadays, it's all segmental construction. So each segments are packed together and then it is pre-tensed. This is only possible because you are able to pre-stress it. So once it is pre-stressed, all the individual blocks will act like a single block. And the disadvantage is that it needs more skilled technologies and higher strength materials need to be used, and for maybe for small scale structures this may become uneconomical. Now for pre-stressed concrete, the main thing is we have to check for stresses in the section, and we should ensure that no tension is allowed within the member, and also the compressive stress in concrete should be within limits so that it doesn't fail in compression. So based on that, you have two stages where you have to check for stresses. One is the transfer stage, that is soon after the pre-stressing force is applied, you have to check for the transfer stage. At that stage there will be no live load, only dead load will be present. In the next stage, that is the service stage, both dead load and live load is there, and we have to check for the stresses such that it is well below the permissible limits. Now the next is you have three types of members based on the amount of pre-stressing you are applying. One is type 1 member. Type 1 member allows no tensile stress, that commonly in bridges we don't allow any tensile stress. Type 2 member, tension is allowed but no cracking. That means the concrete has some tensile strength. So it should be the tensile stress should be within the permissible limit of the limited tensile strength of concrete. In type 3 member, cracking is allowed but there is some limitation on crack width. So type 2 and type 3 are usually provided for buildings, slabs, etc. So the ideal cable profile is the shape of the bending moment diagram. So if you see a simply supported beam subjected to a concentrated load in the center, then the bending moment diagram is shaped like a triangle with maximum at the center with value WL by 4. And this moment is sagging. And the ideal profile for this case will be the shape of the bending moment diagram, that is two straight lines with maximum eccentricity E at the center span, because the maximum moment is at the center. And due to this pre-stressing force P, a hogging moment is occurring throughout the member, and this will be able to counteract the sagging moment caused by the external load. Now if we consider the same simply supported beam with subjected to uniformly distributed load, the bending moment diagram is a shape like a parabola, and it is sagging moment with maximum moment at the middle with WL square by 8. So we need to provide a parabolic cable. So this is a parabolic cable with maximum eccentricity in loading, eccentricity of the cable at the center span. So to completely nullify the bending stresses due to the external load, the moment caused by the pre-stress, will be P into eccentricity. Suppose at the middle it will be P into the maximum eccentricity E, and that if we equate it to the moment caused by the external load, we can completely nullify the bending stresses. That means at any section if you take, you will not have any bending moment in the beam. However, there will be still axial forces due to the pre-compression provided. So using this condition, we get PE equal to WL by 4 for concentrated load and PE equal to WL square by 8 for uniformly distributed load. Now from this equation, if we know the eccentricity, we can calculate the amount of pre-stressing force required to nullify the bending moment. Now first case, let us consider a concentric tendon. Concentric tendon means the centroid of the entire tendons passes through the centroidal axis of a concrete section. So suppose it's a rectangular cross section, the centroid axis will be at the center, B by 2, D by 2, and the pre-stressing cable will also pass through this. That is the meaning of concentric tendon. In this case, let us look at the stresses within the member. Suppose at midspan, let's cut a section at the middle of the span. So we get a stress of P by A. So P is the force due to compression. That is a pre-compression. It's like an axial force on the beam. And P by A will give the axial stress on the beam. Here there is no eccentricity because it is coinciding. The centroid of the section is coinciding with the axis of the pre-stressing force. There will be only axial compression P by A. Then due to moment, external load. The load acting as uniformly distributed load W. Due to that, there will be bending moment on the beam. Due to bending moment, there will be bending stresses in the beam. So if you look at the maximum bending moment is at the midspan, WL square by 8. Due to that moment, M, there will be a bending stress M by Z. Here Z is the section modulus and M is the maximum moment WL square by 8 because we are taking a cut section at the middle point, middle of the span. And to look at the sign, so P by A compressive force I am considering as positive. So P by A will be plus, and here M by Z, the bending moment is sagging. Sagging causes top compression and bottom tension. So top will be plus and bottom will be minus. Now the net stress will be P by A due to pre-stress plus M by Z due to the external load. So the top stress will be P by A plus M by Z, and the bottom stress will be P by A minus M by Z, minus because here due to external load there will be tension at the bottom. So it will be minus. So P by A minus M by Z. So this will be the stress diagram. Now here the notation plus is for compression and minus is for tension. So in the net section, in this case there is no tension. That is why there is no negative sign in the final stress diagram. That means that the entire section is in compression. Now for safety, we have to ensure that the maximum value is P by A plus M by Z should be less than the permissible stress in compression, and P by A minus M by Z, that value should be greater than 0 for no tension condition. That is, if it is less than 0, that means it is negative. That means it will go into tension. So we have to ensure a no tension condition, no tensile stress throughout the length of the beam for type 1 members, that is given in clause 20.3.2 in IS 1343, and the permissible stress in concrete is also given in clause 24.3 IS 1343. The next case, let us consider an extended tendon. In extended tendon, the centroid of the tendons is at a distance E from the centroidal axis of the member. Here, CGC represents the centroidal axis of the member and CGS represent the centroidal axis of the tendons. That means that the net force P acts through the centroidal axis of the tendon. Now let us calculate the stress distribution at the midspan. So at midspan, the stress due to pre-stress P by A component will be there, plus due to pre-stress there will be a hogging moment developed that is equal to PE. So it can be considered as a P, an axial force P and an hogging moment PE. So due to the axial force, the stress will be P by A, and due to the hogging moment, the stress will be PE by Z. That is, PE is the moment, so M by Z. And it is a hogging moment because the cable is located at a distance E towards the bottom of the member. So this causes a hogging moment in the member. Hogging moment causes tension at the top. So at the top it will be minus and plus will be at the bottom. Here minus represent tension and plus represent compression. And these are the stresses just due to the pre-stress. Now due to the uniformly distributed load, there will be additional stress, that is at the midspan, the maximum moment is WL square by 8. Due to that, the stress is M by Z as we have seen earlier. That will be sagging moment. So bottom will be tension minus and top will be compression. Now taking the sum, we get the top stress of P by A minus PE by Z plus M by Z and a bottom stress of P by A plus PE by Z minus M by Z. And these stresses should be within limits. Now let's see a parabolic tendon. This will be very similar to the earlier case because at midspan it is having an eccentricity E. Similar to the earlier case. Earlier case also we had an eccentricity E at the center middle span. So if you take the midspan stresses, it will be exactly the same as the earlier case with eccentric tendon. So the main difference between the two cases is that for the midspan, it will be exactly the same. For the other sections, the stresses will be much lesser in case of parabolic tendon. So that's why a parabolic tendon is preferred over a straight tendon for the case of uniformly distributed load on the beam. Now let us do a problem. A simply supported pre-stressed concrete beam of span 6 meter and cross section of 200 mm by 300 mm. The live load on the beam is 4 kN per meter. Find the magnitude of effective pre-stressing force required for no tension condition at service. The no tension condition means there is no tensile stress in the beam. And case A is the tendon is straight and concentric. So in that case, this is the case, that is here the tendon is straight and it is passing through the centroidal axis of the member. And here the pre-stressing force P will be passing through the centroidal axis of the member. Since it's a rectangular cross section, the centroidal axis will be exactly in the center, B by 2, D by 2. Now let us look at the stresses in the midspan. So midspan is more critical because that is where the maximum bending moment occurs and that is where the tension is likely. So let us look at the stresses in the midspan. So these are the stresses in the midspan. The top stress will be, the net stress will be P by A plus M by Z and the bottom stress will be P by A minus M by Z. So here tension is likely at the bottom. So we have to ensure for no tension condition P by A minus M by Z should be greater than or equal to 0 for a no tension condition. Now let us calculate the area of cross section. Area of cross section is B into D, that comes to 60,000 millimeter square. Then the section modulus Z, it is given by BD square by 6 for a rectangular section. So that also can be calculated. Then the total load on the beam, that will be the sum of dead load and live load. The live load is given as 4 kilonewton per meter and dead load can be calculated as 25. 25 is the unit weight of concrete into the cross sectional size of 0.2 into 0.3, that is the cross sectional size of the member. that comes to 1.5 kilonewton per meter. So the total load will be 5.5 kilonewton per meter. Now the maximum bending moment will be at the midspan, that is given by WL square by 8 for a simply supported beam subject to uniformly distributed load. So substituting the values, we get a moment of 24.75 kilonewton meter. Then the condition for no tension, P by A minus M by Z should be greater than or equal to 0. Substituting the values, we get a pre-stressing force of 494.5 kilonewton. Now in the next case, the cable or the tendon is located at an eccentricity of 50 mm from the centroid of the cross section, and it is a straight cable. So we already saw that due to this eccentricity, there will be a hogging moment in the beam, and that can be calculated. So due to pre-stress, the axial compression P by A and the M by Z component due to the pre-stressing force, the M will be the P into eccentricity, plus the moment due to the external load. M will be maximum at the center, that will be WL square by 8. So the total net stress will be at the bottom will be P by A plus P by Z minus M by Z. So this is where tension is likely. So for no tension condition at service, we have to ensure that P by A plus P by Z minus M by Z should be greater than or equal to 0. Now we have already calculated the area A and Z section modulus. So substituting the values, and eccentricity you have to substitute as 50 mm. Substituting the values, we get a pre-stressing force of 247.5. So if you look at the earlier slide, we got a much higher force. It came to 494.5. Now the pre-stressing force requirement has reduced by just providing an eccentricity of 50 mm. So this is a much better profile compared to the earlier concentric cable. We are able to achieve a no tension condition with a much lesser pre-stressing force. Now considering the parabolic cable will be exactly at the same because at the midsection the eccentricity is again 50 mm. So at the midsection the stress for no tension condition will be the same, and the same value of P is required. But if you look at both these cases, the difference is that at all other sections the stresses will be lesser for the parabolic cable. So it is generally preferred for a simply supported beam subject to uniformly distributed load.